The toilet seat was up. I stood there looking at it, wondering if it meant what I thought it meant. My wife Sally has a pet peeve: if I leave it like that, she'll have a seizure. So I put the seat down after I finished my business. I just got home from a 3-day trip with an out-of-town client. 2 hours and a couple beers on an airplane and then another hour in traffic before I made it home at 9 p.m. After a quick hug and kiss with Sally, I headed straight for the bathroom and made my discovery. Sally is my second wife. Some say my trophy wife. She is a beauty, 5 foot 2 inches tall and built like a Playboy model. She is 20 years younger than my 48 and is a very cheerful, friendly person. I divorced my first wife because I discovered that she was cheating on me, and I guess my history even now makes me naturally suspicious. Also, being a lawyer allows me to see some of the nastiest sides of people. I had no other reason to suspect Sally of cheating. Our sex life was good, or at least I thought so, and I never noticed any change in her attitude toward me. But as I said, being a lawyer, my firm is big, and I'm the managing partner, which means I make a lot of money, so Sally doesn't need to work. She just needs to be pretty for me. We do all kinds of legal work with each partner specializing in a certain area, so I went to chat with our guy who handles domestic issues, including divorce. Having been burned once, I once had him draw up a prenuptial agreement with ironclad bonds. Yeah. I was pretty well protected. He agreed that if we could prove infidelity, she was gone. I really love this girl, but I'm not about to become a cuckold in my own home, so we set the mechanism in motion. We hire a private firm to do all sorts of investigations from insurance fraud to adultery. And a few days later, a report comes in that Sally met a young man for lunch and they drove her car to a local motel for a few hours. Detectives were unable to identify the man or observe what went on in the motel room. A few days later, there was a repeat performance at a different restaurant and motel. The following week, I had to stop by for 2 days to see a client from out of town. It was reported that a young man came to my house about an hour after I left and stayed the night. This time, they got his car registration ID. Turns out this guy was her high school sweetheart. I guess she never really grew up. Anyway, now my guys came in, hooked up phones for recording, set up VCRs, and all the rooms where cheaters were likely to play, and even a microphone in the upholstery of the headboard of the marital bed. 2 weeks later, I left town for another 2-day trip. When I returned, the investigators had a lot of stuff for me, all recorded video and audio with time and date stamps. He arrived closer to evening, parked his car in my driveway, used his key, and just walked in the front door. He didn't even have to ring the doorbell. She gave him the key. She met him in the hallway, dressed in a garter belt, thigh-length stockings, and high-heeled shoes. Nothing else. She was gorgeous and sexy and so desirable. That's why I'd married her, but now it was for something else. She threw herself into his arms, wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him. Her body pressed against him, his hands around her ass, and they stood like that for a few minutes, just tasting each other. Now I knew why she was so good in bed with me. That was until they decided to take a break. While she poured a martini, he finished undressing and they sat down, naked, drinking, and discussing their plans. They wanted to elope together, but they had no money. I had given her some valuable jewelry worth over $1 million, but it was in our bank safe, and she couldn't access it without me. I, on the other hand, could get to the safe without her. Sally said, "I know how we can get a lot of money from my husband." "How?" "By kidnapping me." "What?" "I mean, pretend." "How?" "We're going to be going to a big wedding in a few weeks. He's gonna want me dressed to the hilt with all my jewelry. He likes to show me off. During the wedding reception, I'll disappear with all my jewelry. I'll get on a plane and be in Rio de Janeiro by morning. In the meantime, you'll leave a ransom note demanding $5 million for my safe return. After you get the money, you can join me in Rio." Dumb shit bought the idea, and they went back to having sex. He took her in all sorts of positions that never occurred to me, let alone perform them. On the stairs and later in the bedroom, the sounds she made were amazing. Yes. Yes. Take me, I love you. More. Make me your baby. This guy was acting like I never knew how to, but that was no excuse for her behavior, and I was determined to make them pay for it. All of her jewelry was custom made and I had copies of each piece made of fake metals and non-precious stones. I know how insurance works and I didn't want to take any chances. When it came time for the wedding, I gave her the fake jewelry. She never noticed the difference. Well, she disappeared as planned and flew to Rio. I was glad to let her go. As far as I knew, she had hardly any money with her except some change for pocket change. I canceled all her credit cards and closed the joint bank accounts. I don't even know if she had enough money to check into a hotel. When he tried to get the ransom, the cops were waiting for him. He got 5 years for attempted extortion. Serves the asshole right. He should have put the toilet seat down.